What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It is the only sports podcast. I'm Will. That's Casino over there.
Howdy doodly.
I'm wearing a beanie. Casino's wearing a hat. It's no hair Wednesdays.
Yeah, no hair Wednesdays.
And we are here for the second day in a row just to talk about all the stuff we missed yesterday. Mostly just the college football, I guess, landscape right now and what we've missed in the past couple of weeks. We haven't talked about it. And then we're going to talk briefly about the games in the NFL we didn't talk about yesterday. So short little show today, but how you doing, Casino?
Pretty good. This is my third outfit change of the day. The kid's been puking up on me. Spitting up. It's been great.
Yeah.
I sent you that one. Yeah,
it's a horrendous picture. It's horrendous.
Yeah, it was a lot of spit up. Normally he only spits up when you burp him, but this time it was like 10 minutes after, just laying on me, just bleh, everywhere.
Ugh. I mean, just wait till he gets older and then it's actual throw up. And then it's just a human throwing up on you, which is not ideal. But speaking of throw up, Casino, No, I got nothing. I got nothing. But let's talk about college football with that smooth transition right there. So the AP poll, if they even still call it the AP poll, I don't know. It's not, right? It's not the AP poll.
No, there's the AP poll and the coaches poll, and just I don't know, just the poll, man.
Just the poll. But the poll has whatever one is the official one has been released, and right now it will be Georgia number 1, Michigan number 2, Washington number 3, Florida State number 4, and then the first one missing the playoffs would be number 5, Oregon, followed by Ohio State, Texas, Alabama, Missouri, Penn State to round out the top 10. Are you okay with the first 4 and the only 4 going into the playoffs being Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Florida State?
Oh yeah, they're all undefeated. They've had some tough games. Yeah, I'm all for it.
But how much do we have to factor in with Florida State with their quarterback being out? Do you think that's one of those things where it becomes they're not the same team with their all-pro quarterback out?
I mean, you're probably right, but I mean that's going to be seen coming next game, against Louisville this weekend. Because Louisville, not a bad team, so that will actually be something to keep our eyes on. But you make a great point. After this weekend, that entire top 4 can look completely different. Louisville sitting 15. They did just come off a loss, if I recall.
Yeah, when they were heavy favorites in that game too. It was Louisville and Kentucky, and they lost by 7. But yeah, I remember I have a friend at work who is a big sports bettor, and he was like, "Oh, Louisville all day," and the line was like 14.5 or something like that. And he was like, no doubt. And then yeah, Kentucky beat him 38-31.
So Louisville, Florida State going up against Louisville, especially as you said, Florida State's quarterback out. Louisville is looking to bounce back. They want to they want to get a better bowl game. You should be scared if you're a Florida State fan, player, coach. It's on the line. And then, let's start again with the top. Let's just go with the top. Georgia, they got Alabama coming this weekend. I don't like Georgia, but I hope they absolutely stomp Alabama. I don't want Georgia to lose and then Alabama sneak into the top 4. Because if Alabama beats Georgia and they end the season with only 1 loss, they're getting in. They're in.
Oh yeah. They're at 8 right now. They immediately jump to 4. I don't think there's any way they don't jump to 4.
I hope Georgia just absolutely womps them.
Now that game is going to be in Tuscaloosa. So that's in Alabama, which I feel like is gives room for less or more of a chance of it's not even really an upset because it's only one loss, but still. Thoughts on if you had to give a percentage Georgia wins that game, Casino.
78.
Oh, damn. That's high. Okay. I mean, Alabama's looked pretty damn good. The only loss they had was to Texas. And Texas at the moment, they play Oklahoma State this weekend. They're currently number 7. But the real, I feel like, interesting game that throws kind of this whole, because everybody always roots for chaos, right? When it
I
comes
love it. Especially when, yeah, I
college
love it.
football.
I'm all for it.
Yeah. I feel like the game that I mean, we just talked about Georgia, Alabama, but I really think that if Alabama wins, they're in, Georgia's out. If Georgia wins, they're in, Alabama is further out than they are now. But the one that I feel like could have major implications is Oregon, Washington, right?
Oh, no, that's
Because
gonna be the biggest one. I mean, well, that I wanted to save that one. I was gonna go Michigan, Iowa next. I mean, Iowa's a good team as well. They got a couple losses, but going up against Michigan at Iowa, I think Michigan handles them. Michigan could end this with being the number 1 overall if Georgia fumbles with Bama. But
Mhm.
the rematch of Washington, Oregon, that first game, I watched my buddy who listens to the podcast. We watched it at Stadium Swim, and wow, that was intense. That was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. I'm excited for round 2. Um, Pretty much like when with Oregon losing to Washington that game, it jump started their season. It jump started Oregon because they only got they went on a tear after they lost to Washington. And Washington, even though they have been winning late in close games, they've still been winning those close late games. So, I mean, it comes down to really which quarterback protects the football and makes the plays.
Well, yeah, but I really think since that Oregon Washington game, I don't think Washington has really had an impressive game on their resume. Like
No, they
they,
but they're still winning. I mean,
yeah.
a W is a W. A win's a win. They're finding ways to win.
But see, this isn't like the NFL where a win is a win. In college football, you're rewarded for style points, right? Like that's the difference between amateur and pro, where in college, if you're all undefeated, then it becomes, well, who has the best win? Who has the biggest win? Who has the most points? Like then it becomes because it's an actual debate,
Well,
right?
no,
In college
I would
football.
agree with you there, but like
Yeah. So I'm
If Oregon
saying,
beats Washington,
yeah.
Washington might stay on a 4, but will definitely Oregon will definitely jump on in.
No, I think if Washington loses, they'd probably drop down to 6 or 7.
That's
Uh
so low. No, not against the number 5 team. Who's
yeah,
no,
but we're saying what is it?
no. They're no. They
Oh,
wouldn't drop down to 7.
so then by that logic, you're saying that if Alabama beats Georgia, Georgia falls more than past number 4? Because that's the same logic. So if Georgia loses, they would
No,
have to
they
drop 4 spots.
if Georgia loses, they would go. Georgia would probably so Michigan wins. Say Michigan wins, they're number 1.
Yeah.
Georgia loses, and Alabama jumps to 4. Georgia would no. Georgia would probably be 4. Alabama would be probably 3. Um, Florida State, if they lose, they're going far back. And so Washington could hold on, and everybody just moved up a little bit. But Washington, I said it. They could be the first one out, but they're not going to drop all the way to 7. There's no way.
If Washington loses,
If
uh,
Washington loses, there's no way they drop all the way to 7.
so if only Washington loses, I think it would be Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Florida State 3, and then Oregon would go to 4, or Washington would go to 5. I
Yeah.
feel like that's what would happen. But if everybody loses, but see, then the real interesting thing is if Alabama beats Georgia, and none of the other, okay, let's say we go full chaos mode, right? Let's say Georgia loses, Michigan loses, Washington loses, Florida State wins. Okay, so then obviously Florida State would probably move up to 2. I feel like Oregon would jump to 1. And then it becomes, do you put Michigan?
I don't think Oregon. I think Florida State would go to 1
Okay, so then let's just
because
say
they
it
would be
moves up like
they would
that.
be the last big juggernaut team to still be undefeated.
True. Okay, so then let's say it would be Florida State 1, Oregon 2, but then it would be, who do you put in 3 and 4, because Oregon would have lost to Washington and then beat Washington. Ohio State,
Michigan would be out. It would be Georgia, Bama.
yeah, but see, but that's what I'm saying. You can't put Alabama above Texas because Texas beat Alabama and they would finish with the same record. So
It's
how would
chaos
you
mode.
justify?
I
That's what I'm
this is
saying.
ugh. I'd hate to be in that room.
If
I'm kind
so,
of hoping
let's
now that
say,
everybody loses.
well, yeah, if we're just to do fun scenarios, I think Florida State being the only undefeated team left with the questions at their quarterback position would be the funniest, right? Because you're right. They'd be the only undefeated one, so they'd have to go to 1, even though everybody thinks they shouldn't even be in the top 4. So they would be 1. And then if Georgia lost, you would now have to put Alabama above Georgia, but you couldn't put Alabama above Texas because Texas beat Alabama. So then it becomes a thing where it's like, how far does Georgia drop? How much does Alabama rise? And then you have to like do that thing where Texas is tied to Alabama. Because if Texas and Alabama finish with the same record, unless the only way you could justify that is if Alabama blows out Georgia by like 4 touchdowns, which I don't think is going to happen. Right.
No,
So only
no.
then could you be like,
So, Mark,
Alabama's clearly
what's
better.
what's your scenario that you hope happens?
What I hope happens is I hope Georgia wins. I think it would be hilarious with everything going on this season with if Iowa won, because or Iowa beat Michigan, because Iowa can't score any points, right? They have fans in the stadium like doing chants and signs for their punter because he's like the best player on their team, because all they do is just play amazing defense and then pin the opponent's offense like at their own goal line and then just kind of just hope something happens, right? So all those games, all the Iowa games are insanely interesting because they have no offense whatsoever. So them beating Michigan would be hilarious. And we can touch on the Michigan Ohio State game, which I thought was fantastic. That game was so
Oh,
damn good.
I told you I wasn't able to watch it live, but I obviously wanted to watch it. I just had things come up. So I almost watched it from start to finish via different replays. I just had to.
Oh, that was a damn good game. And but so I want Georgia to win. I think it'd be hilarious if Michigan lost. I want Florida State to lose just because I think they're a far less interesting team now than they were a month ago. And then
We don't want another TCU incident.
yeah. And then, well, that's the thing. It's also like everybody's going to be making the case for Florida State, and then it's going to be like, okay, Florida State's in the playoff spot. And then if they just get blown out by Georgia, then everybody's going to be like, this is exactly what we thought would happen. Right? So it's going to be one of those things exactly like what happened with TCU, but at least TCU, it was more
Beat
justified.
Well, yeah, TCU beat Michigan.
Yeah, I'm not saying Florida State isn't justified. I'm just saying I think we have to take like, I know it's all machines and projections and all that kind of stuff, but when you're
So let me ask you
watching
this:
it,
if Michigan stays and Michigan has a shot to win the whole thing, they make the final game. Um, do you think? What's your take on the whole cheating thing?
I don't I don't know. Like I keep reading and watching so many videos about it, and the people I trust in like sports media or whatever really make the case that it's not a big deal and like everybody does it, and then it's kind of just one of those things where like people inside Michigan or, around the organization just don't like John Harbaugh or Jim Harbaugh for obvious reasons because Jim Harbaugh seems like an asshole,
Isn't
but
it
he's just a
John?
really good coach. So it seems like one of those things
Which one?
where
Okay, Jim and John. You keep getting them mixed
I
up.
know
It's
they should have, why'd their parents name them both J names as someone who named both their kids B names,
yeah, you're
but
an idiot. Yeah, but at least your kids aren't twins.
that's true. But
But
no, so
just to throw that, I'm still really pissed off with you and my brother. So for those of you who don't know, I mean, so even though his name's Will, he goes by BJ mostly out in the world. So he is BJ. His son. Do you mind if I say your son's name?
yeah.
So he's BJ. His son is Braxton. My older brother goes by EJ, and his son's name is Branson. So you got BJ and Braxton and EJ and Branson. I hate you guys so much.
We all got that. We all got together and we're like, how can we confuse casino the most? And that's what we came up with.
Oh, dude, the amount of times like to my brother's face, I'm like looking at his kid, my nephew, and I'm like, oh, hey Braxton, and he's like, it's Branson. And I'm like, my bad.
Just a bunch of B white people names.
Oh, whenever
But
I'm around family members and I'm like, and I say your name, BJ, they're like, EJ? BJ? Bees? Bees?
But
Sorry, little
uh
tangent.
no, you're what is it? But getting back to the cheating scandal casino, what are your thoughts on it? Because I really don't think it's a big deal, but then again, he's missed games where Michigan's won all of them. So when he comes back there in the playoffs, if Michigan is
Well,
still
but
undefeated, which
they
I
also
think they
won all the
kill
games
Iowa.
while he was there too. So
Yeah. Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like if they would have lost against Ohio State, then it would have been like, oh, they
that
fucked
just said,
over.
all it does is just show that he's yeah, right. That just shows that he's got a good staff behind him, man. In my opinion, they got a good staff. So from what I was reading up on, I honestly haven't had a lot of time to read up on this whole thing. He didn't have knowledge of any of this, even if it is true. Um, which I who knows, but since he's the head coach, you should know. Even if what he's saying is true, he didn't know about this. You're still the head coach. You it comes down on you for not knowing what's going on. Um,
Yeah.
so uh, in my belief, I don't think he really knew what was going on, but he will take the blame for it. He is the head coach. He should know what's going on. Um, but you know what? They're still winning. So because you can't fault the players, you know, if that's a thing. Um, plus, you still got to play the game. So like, I don't know, man. I
Yeah, and then college football with signs is so weird because they hold up like the giant,
yeah,
cardboard where it's like
and
four
that's going to be
pictures.
pretty easy to figure out.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think
Because
I understand enough about it to be like he's a cheater and should be banned. But I also think from what I've heard, it just sounds like kind of making a mountain out of a
right,
molehill,
I'm
right?
I'm I because you're right with the I forgot totally space on that, but like with all the signs and everything and all the hand signals and everything during the like they have access to seeing that. They can watch the replays of the game. They can see what's going on the other sideline from their sideline. Like it wouldn't be that hard to get. There's a lot of intelligent people out there, way way more intelligent than me, that are going to these schools that I'm sure can decipher. Look at the play that's being ran. Look at what they're showing on the sideline, and go, oh, well, this matches this in the consistency from this game to this game, from this play to this play, and they can pretty much put together a playbook.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why they do it that way. I
No,
just
and
don't.
it's not, and it doesn't feel like it was as egregious as, like, for instance, when the Astros was doing all their cheating bullshit and it was
Mm,
like blatant. And then when they got caught, everybody was kind of just like, oh, yeah, we did that. And then it was kind of just like fully admitted it, fully were just like, oh, yeah, we're pieces of shit. And then everybody kind of turned on them. This doesn't feel like that, right? It
correct.
kind of feels more.
Yeah.
There's just a gray area. And again, I'm not even a Michigan fan, so I don't give a shit. But I just think it's weird to.
I'm a Michigan fan over Ohio State because of Brady. Go Brady.
But last little bit on college football casino. What do you not because we've talked about all the scenarios of how it could end up. How do you want it to end up? What do you want to? What four teams do you want to see in the playoff?
Um, it sucks because I know it's not going to happen that way unless everybody. Every, ugh, I would like to see Washington, Oregon because I would love to see like a game 3 of this because that first one was so much fun, but obviously that's not going to be able to happen. So at this point, Georgia, Michigan, Washington, and like I said, I would love, I would love if Oregon made it in there. Um, ugh, I don't know.
I think my four is gonna shock you. I want to see Georgia, Michigan, and then I want to see Oregon. So I want them to beat Washington. And then the last team I want in there, I think I want Texas. I
So
think
Oregon, Texas.
Michigan, Georgia. I think I
Okay, I
want
could get
those.
down. You know, what, I could get down with that. I'm cheering for Washington because I like Penix, and my buddy is
Oh, we
a
know.
Washington
We know you
fan.
love it.
But I got a lot of. I do. I love Big Penix. Um, but I do have a lot of family friends and family who are Oregon alumni, and they're big Ducks fans. So
Yeah.
I,
But
I
I'd be honestly fine with Washington or Oregon. I know
yeah,
both
I'm
you and
surprised
I.
you said Texas though.
That's what but I'm looking
Anybody
again.
but Alabama. You know what? Let me rephrase. I will take any top 4 in whichever scenario as long as Bama doesn't make it.
Yeah. I just think when you look at Texas's schedule, like they beat Alabama, they lose by 4 points to Oklahoma. Every other game they've had on their schedule has been like pretty much impressive wins across the board. You know, they what is it? They beat BYU by 31. They beat Texas Tech by 50. They beat Kansas by what 36. They beat Baylor by 31. They beat Wyoming by 28, or I'm sorry, by 21. And then it's just yeah, they're close games. They what is it? They played again, they lost by 4 points to Oklahoma in a game that I remember watching that game. Like that game could have gone either way. They were within 7 to Houston, and then they won by 3 against Kansas State in OT. Oh, and then the next week they won by 3 against TCU. But I don't know. I just think their schedule and how they played the season has been impressive. I think that Alabama win was maybe one of the best wins, if not the best win of all, you know, college football season. So I just would like, and again, this is someone who hates all Texas and New York teams, but I just think I don't think deserves the right word. I just think the best team that would kind of get fucked over by the current system, I feel like would be Texas at the moment, right?
Yeah.
Like they went because again, they went into Tuscaloosa, into Alabama, and beat them by 10 points. Like that's impressive. That's real impressive considering again, that's Alabama's only loss. Like I don't know. So I would love Georgia, Michigan. I'm honestly fine with either Washington or Oregon, but I think that last team, again, I would have said Florida State, but I just think their quarterback being out is a huge, you take the quarterback, you take Penix out of Washington, they're a
Penix.
Penix. They're a far less interesting team. I think you can do that across the board. And then Ohio State, Michigan came down to that game last weekend, and then obviously Michigan won it. So I think Ohio State's out. Texas, if they beat, who are they playing this week? They play Oklahoma State. So again, it's another ranked team. It's not as impressive as if Washington or Oregon or Georgia or Alabama, but still, I don't know. I just want to see. Do I think that'll happen? No, but I really hope What doesn't happen is Alabama beats Georgia, and then they move Alabama up to 4. They move Georgia down to 3, and then it's like, Oregon or Washington is 1 or 2, and then Michigan's 1 or 2. So then we have either Oregon, Michigan, and then 2 SEC teams again. Because
Right.
they're fucking dying to do that. You know it. But anything else on college football before we move on to the NFL?
I mean, I've got to talk about our team 100%.
Oh, there you
Um,
go. Do your
dude, dude,
UNLV.
I'm so excited. Like they're in the Mountain West Championship game. They went 9-3 this year. And all the teams that they've lost to have been getting votes to be in the top 25. So like they're just random schmuck teams. They're at the same level of caliber where UNLV is. But yeah, Odom, Coach Barry Odom, coming over from the Razorbacks, Arkansas. He first year in, he won Coach of the Year for the Mountain West, which is awesome. The rookie quarterback, he also won his award, and then our special teams player of the year for the Mountain West, our kicker, phenomenal. Like I'm just very happy that UNLV finally has a good. They're most likely to get the LA Bowl against UCLA. I'm sure you're probably going to go for the Bruins, but cheer for the Bruins. But
No, UNLV is my hometown. I'd
okay,
root
well,
for
I didn't know.
UNLV.
I don't know how you
Yeah.
want to do that. But no, it was really exciting to have a good year, and they were actually really close. If Tulane stopped winning and UNLV won one more or 2 more, they would have been, and Tulane lost 1. They would have been right there with being in the New Year's Six Bowl, or one of those 6 bowls, which is just the fact that they were even in question for that was pretty cool. So, yeah, no, I'm stoked. I have a good year for college football because the top of the top 25 is really good. There's a lot of teams that can make the top 4 for the finals, and then our team does really good. So, and good enough to actually be like talked about because they were on the brink of the top 25. They're going to probably win the Mountain West Championship, which will be the first time ever, which is cool. It's cool stuff.
And also, this is the last year where you just said the top 25. This is the last year where it's only going to be the top 4, right? Because next year they expand it to the 12-team playoff. So if we had the 12-team playoff this year, the top 4 seeds would get a first-round bye. So at the moment, let's just say everybody wins this weekend who's supposed to. It would be Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Florida State would all have first-round byes. And then the first round matchups would be Alabama, Missouri, Oregon. What is that? Tulane, Oregon, Tulane, Ohio State, Ole Miss, and then Texas, Penn State. So the potential second round matchups would be, let's see. It would be, that's 2. No, never mind. So yeah, we could have potential. I mean, that actually doesn't look too bad. That looks fun. Was the
Yeah,
number
it does.
Tulane? No.
Yeah, I've already moved off of the college stuff. But
I don't know why they're putting them in there. But no. So the top 12 teams would be Oklahoma, Mississippi, Penn State, Missouri, Alabama, Texas, Ohio State, Oregon, and then the top 4 he mentioned. So yeah, that would be it'd be fun. Next year is going to be real fun with the 12 teams. I feel like
I
that's
might be able to.
finally.
We might actually be able to have a better show at that point.
Yeah.
We might be a little bit more streamlined. Again, we started this at the worst time last year. We both had 1-year-olds. Now I have another kid. Like,
Yeah.
oof. What were we thinking? We should have done this 10 years ago when we actually wanted to do it.
Yeah, but the market was not flooded enough. So we needed to go in when the market was the most flooded. Even though I'm just talking about sports radio because we're the only sports talk show or the only sports podcast. Yeah, they have
There's plenty of talk shows. I see a lot of talk shows.
And on that note, Casino, let's move on to the games we missed yesterday.
Do we have to?
Yes,
Okay.
because the first game we're going to talk about is your team, the New England Patriots,
Dude,
the
I
now
told you. I told you.
two
You
and
were
nine.
wild for you were wild for picking the fucking Patriots. Wild.
The one game difference, just to refresh anybody if you forgot from yesterday, Casino won 10 games, I won 8. One of the two games we picked different. He picked the Giants, I picked the Patriots, and I messaged you if the 2-9 now Patriots lose to the now 4-8 New York Giants 10-7, which obviously they did lose. If Bill Belichick gets beat by Tommy DeVito, the third string New York Giants
You got to do it
quarterback.
right though, Tommy DeVito.
Uh, uh, if he loses to them, he should be fired immediately after the game. That did not happen, but is this one of the most embarrassing losses
In my lifetime,
in your lifetime as a Patriots fan?
it is the most embarrassing loss in my lifetime.
Ugh. That is how? How do you lose to and Tommy DeVito,
Dude,
17 for
dude.
25, 191 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Remember when that whole thing, even as short ago as last year, where it was like when Bill Belichick plays a bad quarterback, he eats him alive. He eats him alive, right? It was like Zach
Dude, I just feel like
Wilson.
the team. And you know what? I don't even want to blame it all on Belichick. I think this team is just given up, man.
Well, also, can you guys pick a fucking quarterback? Why do you keep starting with Mac Jones and then sitting
Because
him for
Belichick
Bailey
doesn't know what he's
Zappi?
doing on offense, and Bill O'Brien probably has no say. So
Yeah. It's do you think Belichick lasts the rest of the season?
yes, he's going to last the rest of the season. They're not going to fire Belichick, one of the greatest coaches of all time, mainly for defense. But they're not going to fire him midseason. Um, did you see Rex Ryan blasting him?
Yeah. Yeah. No, and
That
I
was
kind of agreed with everything he said,
I
and
did too. I
it's
honestly
also
did too right now.
kind of
People are tired of the Patriot way. They weren't tired of the Patriot way when they were winning because Brady ran the offense. Again, Belichick, beautiful defensive mind. He's a great defensive guy. Great. One of the all-time great defensive minds in pro sports. However, he doesn't know shit about offense. Brady ran that offense. It was obviously not McDaniels because look what he's done. He's gotten fired twice, only coach to get fired twice midseason in the NFL. So it was Brady the whole way. That's why they were a match made in heaven. And then everybody's like, oh, Brady, he's so good without Belichick. Well, he went to a team with a good defense. As soon as that defense fell apart, they were like 8-8 or 9-8 or whatever it was. So they needed each other. That's why they were so good for so long. But there's no way Belichick gets fired midseason. He's meant too much to that city, that team. So
I'm not even saying fired. I'm saying a mutual parting of ways.
no, he's not going anywhere till the end of the season. I mean, he just signed a new contract, so they're not going to get rid of him midseason mutually.
Mm,
They'll wait till the end of the season if they're going to do anything, which I think they should. I've talked about Gerard Mayo. He's already a coach on the team. Move him up. I've
yeah.
liked him forever. Even if he flops, I would like to see him have a chance because he was one of my favorite players, top 5 favorite players of that big stretch of when he was playing. So
I also like that in this whole scenario, Rex Ryan was the one to call him out
I
because
it's
at a
great,
s-
Mr. Foot Fetish himself. I'm all for it. I'm all
well, it
for it.
also he was a contemporary. He had success against them when they were in the same division.
Oh yeah,
So
he was like he whooped my butt all the time is what he said. But he was like,
yeah,
it'd be crazy to think that it wasn't also Brady, that it wasn't just
yeah.
Brady.
Do you think you've said it before, but just as the season progresses, do you think Belichick goes and coaches for another team? Or do you think he's just done?
He wants that record.
I think so too. I think he goes at least 2 more seasons,
Oh, he's
right?
gonna go, I think, until he breaks the record.
Yeah. He
I mean,
seems like the type of guy where he's like the football
if
historian. He really
like
cares
Tom
about that kind of
Coughlin
stuff.
went until he was 90, Belichick
Yeah.
will go to break the record.
Yeah. I think we both agree on that. All right, Casino. Let's talk about some of the other games we'll just briefly touch on right now. The Falcons win 24-15 against the New Orleans Saints. They are now
I'm
both
so angry
5
with
and
the
6.
Falcons. When I
Dude,
pick them, they win. When I pick them, they lose. When I don't pick them, they win.
this is you and I this entire season. Every time, and then watch, we're now going to be super hype on the Falcons, and then they're going to lose next
I
week.
mean, and Desmond Ritter did not have a fucking good game. He had a
No.
horrid game, actually.
And you know what? Derek Carr, he had the one interception, but I was flipping him back and forth between this game and a couple others at this time. And this game was fun to watch, but it was also like Derek Carr was making some damn good throws. He was having a pretty good game. Desmond Ritter was not. And then somehow, just the Falcons. I mean, I think it was
It,
all
it was field goals. It was field goals.
well, and their running attack was absolutely
Yeah,
insane in this game.
but it was
They had
Blake Group Blake G, their kicker. But 25 yards, 52 yards, 41 yards, 45 yards, 39 yards. So not like crazy long ones. He had the one that was in the 50, the 52 yarder. Besides that, they were all fucking pretty chip shotty.
Well, also the Falcons in this game had 228 yards rushing between like 4 players. Like that's when you rush for almost 250 yards a game and don't turn the ball over at all, I don't see how you lose,
Well, they did.
right?
They intercepted twice.
Oh, that's right. I meant fumbles, the Saints turned it over once and then interception. So it was a
It was
wash on
2-2
that.
on
But
turnovers. So that should
yeah,
have just washed out.
but I mean, again, the
And you know what's mind
Falcons,
blowing?
what?
So you say that they almost ran for 250 yards. They still didn't have more. They still had less time of possession
Yeah.
by like 3 minutes,
I
which
don't
doesn't
understand
make
anything with
sense.
either of these two teams. Speaking of things I don't understand, Casino,
Good transition.
thank you. I need you to explain this to me. The 7-4 Pittsburgh Steelers, now 7-4, won against the Cincinnati Bengals 16-10. Matt
Uh,
Canada, the offensive coordinator for the Steelers, they had never had a 400-yard offensive performance, right? That's why all the Steelers fans were saying, we have to fire Matt Canada. He's a bad offensive coordinator. The entire time he was there, not one game. The first game after he's fired, they have over 400 offensive yards. So this is why people give fans shit, but I feel like fans of teams usually understand the team more than just like talking heads of the team or like talking heads of sports media, right? Because they're so hyper focused on one team that I feel like they see things that the general football public does not see. So when all these Steeler fans were like, Matt Canada's the problem, and then everybody was like, no, 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 he's not that bad. He's not that bad. The second they fire him, all of a sudden their offense is better than it's been the entire time he was
Look
there.
at
They
Josh
finished the
McDaniels.
game. They finished the game with 421 offensive yards. And yet they still only put up 16 points. So again, deeper problems there. Kenny Pickett, 24 for 33, 278 yards, no
I'm not going to
touchdowns, no
say
interceptions.
that guy that commented on our post, which, by the way, we need to check our comments more. The Victor, my buddy who listens to the show, he put in his, and he did horrible. He put in his picks. Um,
Oh, he
uh,
just commented on another one of our posts, but keep
yeah,
going.
yeah, no, he's trying to be involved. We need to reach out to him. You have access to that. I don't, so I don't fucking know.
Yeah. But keep going, Casino.
No, I don't remember what I was gonna say.
But
I honestly don't know. I lost track.
no, the Steelers, I don't understand how they're 7-4.
Oh yeah,
You're
now I know what I was gonna say. Apparently that one fan was I don't want to say right, but
give him
let's just
credit.
say he's a true fan. He knew what the problem was.
Your friend, he has Cowboys -9.5, Falcons, Dolphins, Broncos +3.5, Rams, Chiefs, Jaguars, CJ Stroud over a half an interception, Dolphins over 3.5 sacks. So
Fun ticket.
yeah, that is a lot has to
Well,
happen there.
well, remember he was one game shy of fucking winning a shit ton of money.
I mean, hey, and we'll make our picks for week 13 on Friday this week, but let's quickly go through the rest of these games.
Yeah, my kid's starting to wake up, so we've got to blow through it.
So for these three, yeah, let's talk these three, and then there's one game that I want to talk a little bit about, but
I've got 3 minutes tops.
there you go. Colts beat Bucks 27-20. Titans beat Panthers 17-10. And then the the Rams beat the Cardinals 37-14. Any of those spark any interest, Casino?
No, because I still think the Colts are just the Colts. I don't trust Gardner Minshew. Jonathan Taylor, he's good, but I think the Bucks, Baker Mayfield, got injured that game. I know it was late in the game, but still, I think that's gonna be rough. I do like Baker. I like him on the Bucks. I think he's changed his attitude around. Titans almost losing to the Panthers tells me that the Titans suck.
Well,
I was cheering for the fucking Panthers so bad because with the Patriots losing, I was like, I need this. I want the number 1 pick overall.
Also, with the Panthers, they fired their head coach the day after this game. So Frank Reich has been fired from the Panthers. I mean, how much of that do you think is because how well the Texans are doing? Right? Because I mean, they have pretty much a completely rebuilt team, rookie quarterback, and they're in the playoff hunt. Meanwhile, the Panthers 1-10.
I'm actually gonna have to go. Sadly, I thought that he was gonna give me just some like toss and turn time. Now he's just straight screaming. So I've already got the bottle made. I got to go.
All right. And yeah, last game I wanted to talk about was just Chiefs Raiders. Chiefs are good against divisional opponents.
Right. And Raiders look much better without Josh McDaniels.
And then Josh Dobbs turns back into a pumpkin, to use my famous phrase.
He'll be fine.
Oh,
He'll be fine.
Okay. Well, we'll do our picks on Friday. This was a much longer, we did exactly yesterday's episode. So you get 3 episodes this week. How lucky are you? This has been the Only Sports Podcast. I'm Will. That's Casino over there.
Bye.
Adios.